Speaking of courts, in less than 3 hours, Supreme Court Justice Anthony Scalia will make remarks at an event organized by Congresswoman and founder of the Tea Party caucus in the House, Michelle Bachmann. And there is controversy over this Supreme Court justice's decision to accept this group's invitation. In fact, some on the left are complaining that the justice is getting too cozy with conservatives, even though Congresswoman Bachmann has confirmed that Democrats are also planning to attend this thing. Congressman Gohmert of Texas will be attending the event. We've asked him now to join us with his thoughts. So, Congressman, thank you for being here. Justice Scalia will come and speak to the caucus, and already some are saying it's inappropriate. It gives an appearance of partiality where none should be undertaken by a Supreme Court justice. It's not the same as speaking to law students, etc. How do you defend it?
Well, he's speaking to members of Congress, and as you know, most of the justices for years have regularly attended one of the most liberal, pro-gay rights, pro-abortion groups in all of America. You know them as the American Bar Association. And these same people haven't complained about going to pro-abortion, pro-gay rights group like the ABA reportedly. And this is members of Congress. And also, if you go back and read some of the Supreme Court's recent opinions where they cite the changing will of the American people, my goodness, if they're going to cite the changing will of the American people, they need to get out and hear what the American people are really thinking.
The New York Times suggests that this appearance creates the specter of collusion between conservative members of the court, which Scalia no doubt is, and conservative members of Congress. Your response to the New York Times?
Well, bless their hearts. It just shows how out of touch the New York Times is. They think going to high-level cocktail parties is the way that you get around the American people. And in fact, that's been one of the problems with the Supreme Court. I know from prior conversations with some of the Supreme Court justices years ago that nobody was more shocked than the majority of the Supreme Court after the Roe versus Wade decision, because so many people were upset about it. They had no clue, because the cocktail parties they go to, people were all of the same accord. So this is a good thing. There is no collusion, and anybody that knows Justice Scalia knows he comes and speaks at these events and has such a great knowledge. He's such a great teacher, and these are freshmen along with other members of Congress that can come learn from such a brilliant constitutional historian.
But the question is, but the question is, and I want to be fair to Justice Scalia, because I want our viewers to know that members of the court's liberal bloc have done similar things. Justice Ginsburg, who's one of the most liberal, headlined an event for the Liberal American Constitutionist Society. Justice Stephen Breyer has appeared regularly before outside groups, including some liberal groups, and Justice Ginsburg has even attacked certain certain conservative groups. So, I mean, this is not unprecedented, but nonetheless, if it's wrong for both sides. And there's a canon of the Judicial Code of Conduct. It doesn't apply to Supreme Court justices, only to lower court justices, but it says federal judges should not take part in any activities that reflect adversely on their impartiality. The argument is that, let's say these members of the Tea Party caucus, you yourself, sir, come up with some law that winds up in front of Justice Scalia, and you drafted it just the way you thought he was trying to tell you to draft it before this event today. Does it create, does it reflect adversely on his impartiality?
Well, I can assure you that Justice Scalia is not going to recommend how we draft legislation. He will explain, he will give historical precedents, but he doesn't tell us how to draft legislation. And so it is a good thing. In fact, it was a prior meeting with some Supreme Court justices, bipartisan, where I learned more about the Supreme Court from hearing a couple of the most liberal members say the funniest joke they ever heard was a guy running into a dentist's office screaming, "I need help, I need help." The dentist comes out. He says, "What is it?" He says, "I think I'm a moth." He said, "Sounds like you need a psychiatrist." He said, "I do." He said, "Why'd you come in here?" He said, "Because your light was on." Now, they said that was the funniest joke they'd ever heard, and it told me a lot about the Supreme Court and why we've had some of the problematic opinions we've had. If that's the funniest joke they've ever heard, they do need to get out more, Megyn.
And maybe a visit to Congress is just the ticket. Congressman, thanks so much for your perspective.
Always good to be with you, Megyn.
All righty.